In this video, I'm reading a section from Annihilation of Caste where Dr. Ambedkar is disproving the theory that the relationship between the Shudras, the oppressed castes, and Savarnas, the oppressive castes, is that of a ward and a guardian. He also uses this explanation to answer the question as to why the mass of people tolerated the social evils to which they have been subjugated, and why there have not been social revolution in India. Defenders of Chaturvarnya say, why should the Shudra need trouble to acquire wealth? The three Varnas are there to support him. Why need the Shudra bother to take to education when there is the Brahman to whom he can go in matters of reading and writing? Why need the Shudra worry to arm himself because there is the Kshatriya to protect him? Theory of Chaturvarnya, understood in this sense, may be said to look upon the Shudra as the ward and the three Varnas as the guardians. Thus interpreted, it is a simple, elevating and alluring theory. Assuming this to be the correct view of the underlying conception of Chaturvarnya, it seems to me that the system is neither foolproof nor knave-proof. Dr. Ambedkar then states that whether the relationship of guardian and ward was the real underlying conception on which Chaturvarnya was based or not, there is no doubt that in practice the relationship was that of a master and slaves. The three classes, Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, although not very happy in their mutual relationship, managed to work by compromise. The Brahmin flattered the Kshatriya and both let the Vaishya live in order to live off of him. But the three agreed to beat down the Shudras. The Shudra was not allowed to acquire wealth lest he should be independent of the three Varnas. Shudra was prohibited from acquiring knowledge lest he should keep a steady vigil regarding his own interests. Shudra was prohibited from bearing arms lest he should have the means to rebel against their authority. That this is how the Shudras were treated by the Trivarnikas is evident in the laws of Manu. There is no code of laws more infamous regarding social rights than the laws of Manu. Any instance from anywhere of social injustice must pale before it. Therein lies the answer to the question as to why the mass of people tolerated the social evils to which they have been subjected. This also answers the question as to why there have not been social revolutions in India. Lower classes of Hindus have been completely disabled for direct action on account of this wretched system of Chaturvarnya. They could not bear arms, and without arms they could not rebel. They could not receive education. They could not think out. Because they could not receive any education, they could not think out or know the way to their salvation. They were condemned to be lowly, and not knowing a way of escape, and not having the means of escape, they became reconciled to eternal servitude, which they accepted as their inescapable fate. Dr. Ambedkar then proceeds to contrast the social system in India with the social order in Europe, where the strong and the weak have been going at it much more violently. The weak in Europe have had in their freedom of military service their physical weapon, in suffering their political weapon, and in education their moral weapon. These three weapons for emancipation were never withheld by the strong from the weak in Europe. However, all these weapons were denied to the masses in India by Chaturvarnya. There cannot be a more degrading system of social organization than the Chaturvarnya. It is the system which deadens, paralyzes, and cripples the people from helpful activity. Dr. Ambedkar then proceeds to share that the only period in Indian history which is a period of freedom, greatness, and glory was that of the Maurya Empire. Maurya period was a period when Chaturvarnya was completely annihilated, when the Shudras, who constituted the mass of the people, came into their own and became the rulers of the country. It begs to inform the viewer here that Maurya Empire was when India was completely a Buddhist empire or Buddhist country. Mauryans came into power after the social revolution done by Buddha, and he strictly condemned the caste system and showed Indians a better way of living. So this does tie back into the other videos which I have read, where I talk about how social revolution is needed before political reform.